address it, or this is how the person was able to overcome it, well, we are in the best position to tell them that, oh, fine, everybody sort of different. Please, can you mute your mic? So we are in the best position to let them know. Also, give them permission to wait. Like you should reassure them that waiting is the best thing they can do if you prefer it. Reassure them that you are okay with this silence. Like we all know, communication is a two-way thing. Most of the time, as torturers, we are overly concerned about how we sound, or we are overly concerned about getting our point across that we forget to listen. So, how can we be good communicators when we don't listen well? So, we need to focus on the message, focus on the point your friend, your colleague is trying to make. Most of the time, we are lost in our head trying to think of the next sentence to say, trying to think of how to sound perfect, or trying to avoid stuttering altogether. This puts us in a position where we forget to listen. We should always endeavor to make eye contact because it teaches your audience to also make eye contact with you when you stutter, and it also improves the communication and connection. Also, we need to learn to appreciate feedback. We need to acknowledge people's intention. At times, people genuinely want to help, and they might come across as, oh, have you tried visiting a speech therapist? And sometimes we might find it offensive, but most people suggest that from a place of care and not out of judgment. So we need to educate them. We need to explain that there's no quick fix for stuttering, and it's a simply part of your unique voice. It's not a situation for someone to start teaching you how to be fluent or teaching you how to speak. You need to let them know that, oh, stuttering is another form of communication. It's just the way I talk. And when you receive feedback, learn to appreciate them, learn to thank them for their concern and for offering to assist you. So we need to stop apologizing when we stutter. We need to stop that completely. Most time when you stutter, some of us will be like, I'm sorry. You don't need to say you are sorry because it's your voice, and you need to own your voice because you didn't do anything wrong and your voice is enough. We need to shift the perspective. When you stop apologizing, your audience stops seeing stuttering as something negative that you need to apologize for. And this helps to project confidence. When we treat our speech as a neutral and natural fact, it helps friends to do the same. In that way, they don't see it as weird, they don't see it as an awkward thing, and they become more comfortable around us. So this brings me to a close, and I would like to know if any of us have any question. My co-host Prince will take the question from any of us that might have any question concerning our discussion today. And after that, after taking some question, we will invite our guest speaker to speak to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Um, the presentation was so helpful and educative, and I learned a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Um, Please, does anyone have a question or have a contribution to make? You can indicate by raising your hands, or much better, I prefer calling names because most times when I ask, okay, Mr. Emmanuel,
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Prince. So, Daniel, that was like a wonderful presentation. I thought I knew a lot about stuttering, but then your presentation has really taught me some new things, and I appreciate the effort you put into your research. Yes, so I also just wanted to add to the bit that you said about we shouldn't apologize for our stuttering because that's our voice. And it's true because I realize that most often the society has made it like a norm that if you are stuttering, then you are outside the norm. So without us even knowing it, we've imbibed that idea. And we tend to also think that, okay, when I'm speaking and I stutter, I've committed, maybe I've done something wrong or inappropriate, so I have to apologize. So we use things like, oh, I'm sorry, please bear with me, um, I'm I'm working on it, and all these kind of things. It's doesn't exude confidence. It makes us appear weak. It's just like you meeting a blind person, and as the person is struggling to find their way around, he tells you, "Don't worry, I'm trying to, you know, regain my eyesight so I don't bother you." That would sound very weird because we all know, okay, you are blind, it's not your fault, and all that. So apologizing really doesn't do any good to you as a person who stutters. It rather makes you look very weak and as someone who is not confident, who doesn't really know what you're about. So that's a great point. I just wanted to add to that.
thank you so much, Mr. Mr. Freedom, do you have anything to say? Have a question to ask? Mr. Freedom, hello. All right, while we wait for Mr. Freedom, Mr. Jide, do you have any question to ask or question to make? Hello, Mr. Jide. Hello, hello. All right, Mr. Jide is not responding. Um, Crystal Isabel. Hello, Crystal. Can you hear me? You have a contribution to make, a question to ask.
Please, I think good evening. Where you are is quite noisy. So I would suggest that to allow anybody that has a question and raise up their hand or put a chat. If they don't, we'll move on to what's next on the agenda to minimize the noise from your background.
All right.
Hello? I don't even know this network self. Hello? It's hey, God.
Hello, Daniel, can you hear me? Is it
Yes, I
from my
can.
end?
I can hear you. I think Prince disconnected, or I don't know. So let me just take it
His
from
network.
here. Do does anybody
All
have
right. So
question? If there is no question, we can move to next speaker, which is Emmanuel. So then we'll take question at the end of his session, if that's okay. All right, you're welcome, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining.
All right, thank you
one
so
poetry
much.
before.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Daniel. I think we can take one poetry and then you should read his profile before you invite him in.
You said?
I said we should take one poetry section and then you can read his profile before you invite him in so that other people can know who is about to
Okay,
take the.
okay, no problem.
I have seen courage dressed in quiet battles, not in loud victories, but in the trembling breath before a world is born. They call it a stutter. I call it a symphony of strength, a language that teaches the world how to wait, how to listen, and how to honor the weight of every syllable. You see, some people race through sentences, but you build yours brick by brick. Each word carrying proof that persistence is poetry. When your voice trembles, it is not weakness, it is war. A war you fight every morning with nothing but willpower and hope. But I have learned that strength is not in saying it fast, but in saying it anyway. So to the ones who stutter, your pauses are not broken places, they are the rhythm of excellence. Your words do not come late, they arrive right on time, teaching the world that beauty can live in the struggle to speak. Keep meeting challenges with strength, keep lifting your voice, because somewhere, someone is learning from the courage in your sound. And when the world finally listens, they will realize it's not the stutter that defined you, but it was the strength that spoke through you. Thank you.
So that was a very powerful um, um, presentation, and I hope we found it insightful and we found it motivating. So we'll just jump into our next speaker right now.
Please, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. Um, I have a screen, I have a presentation I prepared. So if, okay, yes, I have screen sharing. So let me do that. And I hope, okay. So to start with, Emmanuel Ado, and I'm a person who studies. I have been stuttering for over 30 years now. And I'm also a speech and language pathologist, but today I'm putting my speech and language pathology hat aside. And also I am also a researcher. I have some papers out there on stuttering. So stuttering is something that is very important and dear to me. So not bore you too much about me because I'm not the focus of this meeting. Today, I'm here to talk with us so we have a discussion on how we can teach others to listen. However, as someone with a research background, I wouldn't just go straight to the point. So I would like to build a foundation, which I believe most of you here may know everything about this already, but then I just want to pick it from somewhere so that we'll have like a good understanding of where I'm getting to. So as part of what we'll be talking about today, we'll share briefly on what communication is, exactly what it is, what's stuttering, how does it fit into the discussion about communication. And also we'll talk briefly about some studies that have been conducted on what people feel when they listen to stuttering voices, right? We'll look at that and then we'll also see then how does that shape their reactions to us when we are stuttering. Then that also moves us to then how can we support them? Because in most of our discussions, it looks like we want to we want people who are listeners to support us. But then at the end of this, my presentation, you realize that we both need that support. All right. So here, often when we talk about communication, most of us have this misperception, which I've been there before, where I had this misperception or belief that for you to be an effective communicator, you should be fluent in speech. However, what we know is that communication is not just about words. There's a lot that goes into communication. And when you are measuring what communication is really, just 7% of what constitutes communication comes from what we say, right? That's speech. Okay. So when we are communicating, speech is one of the ways that we communicate. However, our voice, our tone, our rhythm, intonation, how we pace what we say, that forms about 38% of what is what communication is. And I know I've mentioned rhythm in the tone. Now, stuttering, some studies have found that stuttering is it's a motor speech disorder. So there's something that affects the rhythm of our speech. So yes, that falls also under the 38% here, but that just forms a tiny part of the 38. So a lot of what we say and hear, like the repetitions, the blocks, the prolongations, fall under 7%. 55% doesn't have anything to do with our rhythm or what we say. It has to do with our face, our eyes, and how we maintain our body posture. That constitutes a large part. So as a person who studies, if we are able to maximize the use of this 55 and this 38, we can be excellent communicators, even more than people who are fluent speakers. Now, I mentioned verbal communication, which forms the 7%. So now the question is, what exactly is that? So the content, that's very important. So I tell people when you are communicating out there, you need to know exactly what you are saying. Knowing what you are saying also helps you to get a part of that, to cover part of that 7%. Then the sentence structure, the grammar, then the language and the content, right? Those are the verbal part, that's speech part. The non-verbal part is the eye contact. As people who stutter, one of the difficulties we experience is not maintaining eye contact. However, we need to be very clear in our minds here that not being able to maintain eye contact with a person when you are talking as a result of your stuttering, it's not a main characteristic of stuttering. That is something that we have learned over the years to cope with stuttering, and we call it escape behaviors. So they are really not stuttering, like you moving away, not maintaining facial expression, getting stressed up, not smiling, not using your face to, augment what you are saying. Body posture, some people naturally, they've not been, they think communication, it flows naturally, but then you need to learn it. So some people don't know that when you are talking, there are some uh, body positionings, postures you need to keep to show that you are a confident speaker. Even the way you use your hands, the way your neck, your head, the way you look around, all those things, they show things that we are not very common. So people don't know. We need to learn about that. Also about our tone, our pace, even silence. When you are talking, silence shows you are in control. And most in authoritative people in authority, when they are speaking, you can hear the silence, hear in quotes, you perceive the silence, and that shows they are in authority. People who just rant and keep talking, it shows insecurity. Like it shows they are not in authority. So even silence, the pauses, they show that you are an excellent communicator. So I'm sure we all know this, but these are just facts I want to remind us about. That stuttering is a neurological condition. It could be like a verbal difference. People say it's a verbal difference. People say it's a neurodevelopmental disorder. It's a disability. Whatever word you want to use for it. What we know that we cannot run away. The basic fact is that it's as a result of the structure and the function of our brain. The structure of our brain for people who stutter is different in some areas of the brain. Cerebellum, basal ganglia, like there are areas of the brain which look different from people who do not stutter. And also the networking, like wiring. If you are in a house, the way you wire your house. For people who stutter, the studies that have been done so far have shown that there are differences between us and people who don't stutter. And that is basically the reason why we stutter. So we can't do anything about it. You cannot just stop stuttering because you've gone for speech therapy or because you've learned how to do something. You can improve your communication skills. And if your communication skills improve, that could improve your confidence, and that could lead to something we called neuroplasticity, which could work some magic for you to reduce your stuttering severity and all that. And there's other areas I already want to go in today. And you are not alone, all right? We are not alone. There are other people who stutter out there. In Nigeria, there are so many people who stutter out there that some even don't talk about it. They only tell you, I only stutter when I'm angry, those kind of things. And stuttering is not linked to intelligence, apart from that. So here, often we as people who stutter, we have this belief that when we are stuttering, people should be able to listen to us. But the question I want to ask you today is, have you ever met someone who stutters more severe than yourself in close proximity, one-on-one? How do you feel listening to someone stuttering, someone struggling to say their words? I've had that experience, to be very honest with you. There was this day I had I was at a conference and I was speaking with one of the executives or board members of the International Stuttering Association. This guy had a lot of confidence, like top notch. and he had a severe stutter. As he was speaking to me, we're having a chat. He was looking at me straight in the eye and he was struggling. I could see his eye twitching, his lips like struggling. I also started, but as I was looking at him, I felt helpless. I felt like, I could feel sick. I could feel tired. I felt something going inside of me. Mind you, I have met over 200 over. I've met so many people who started in the course of my work as a staffing support group leader, as a speech and language pathologist. However, meeting this gentleman gave me a different experience. So I went on to understand why did I feel this way? Because I thought, well, I'm a person who stutters. I should understand him. I shouldn't feel the way I felt. So I went in to dig deep and I realized that some few studies have been conducted, and the people who stutter, this is how the study went. They grouped people who stutter, they recorded themselves speaking, and then fluent speakers, they also recorded them speaking, and they showed these videos to people who don't stutter for them to watch. So as they were watching, they were mapping how their body was reacting. And what they found was that when they watched people who were stuttering speak, one, their skin conductance increased, in that blood flowed to the surface of their skin. There was some physiological reaction. Also, their heart rate reduced when they are listening to people who stutter. Now, this decreased heart rate and this increased skin conductance, what it shows is that when we are talking and we are stuttering and people are listening to us, they feel this, like they feel aroused, like they feel excited. And this excitation is in the brain. They want to focus and to understand exactly what is happening. So this state of arousal, this state of excitement, which is automatic, is not, they cannot control it. It's in the brain. What this does is that it makes them uncomfortable. Okay. And some other study too has shown that when people who when people who don't stutter, when they listen to us, they have this thing like, it's called the motor mirroring, motor mirror response. What happens is when they watch us and we are struggling and our lips are twitching and all that, their brain also starts to send the information that they should also do the same thing. And because they don't stutter, they have to reduce that messaging in their brain, which makes it uncomfortable for them. So as they are listening to us, they are feeling that sensation to also stutter, to repeat the same thing or to talk the way we are talking. But then because they don't stutter, they are actively focusing, trying to not do that. So all these things shows that for the listeners, they also don't feel comfortable. So as we are not feeling comfortable, the listeners are also not feeling comfortable. Now, they also did a study and they gave people who don't stutter a scale. Like it's like, a study for them to rate how they felt when they were listening to us. And they said they felt anger, they felt discomfort, they felt nervous, they were embarrassed. So these are feelings of people when they listen to us. So I just want us to have this at the back of our minds as the staffing community, that it's not just about us. Our listeners also feel discomfort. So what do they do when they feel those discomforts? These are automatic things that happen to them because they feel uncomfortable. Naturally, they look away when we are stuttering. All right. They want to help us. So Daniel mentioned that they are doing these things because they are helpless themselves, but they are trying to help us. So they may try to complete our sentences. Sometimes they freeze. It's like a shock. They are just shocked at what is happening. They want to help, but they cannot help you, right? Others would want to, to complete whatever you are saying. Some will be in a haste because whatever is happening to us, they are experiencing something around the same lines. So they also just want to do exactly what's happening to us. And Daniel shared this in his presentation earlier. They are no longer focusing on what we are saying. They are now focusing on our speech, the way we are talking. That's what they now focus on, and that doesn't really help us. Now, none of these things that our listeners do is to hurt us. No. But unfortunately, these things get to us. Now, this is just to show us what the cycle is. And, communication is a two-way affair. I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen. So it's speaking and listening. So we all have a role to play in communication. Now, what happens is, as a person who stutters like myself, when I'm speaking, I begin to stutter. Now, the listener feels uncomfortable. Remember the slides I shared earlier on. The listener is feeling uncomfortable not because he or she is mean or wicked. He's just feeling uncomfortable because naturally his body is also responding. Then what happens? The listener's behavior changes automatically. All right. Now, as I'm speaking, when I see my listener's facial expression changes, what happens to me? I will also feel that stress. So if my listener is stressed, I'll also be stressed. If my listener frowns, I'll also feel like they are not enjoying what I'm saying. When they laugh, I may also feel like, oh, are they laughing at me? So that cycle goes on. I feel increased anxiety. I stutter more. The listener also feels more uncomfortable. So before I realize, this cycle continues on. And now the question is, who can break this cycle? Stuttering is involuntary. So for me as a person who stutters, for you as a person who stutters, you cannot break the cycle. But then the listener can actually break the cycle if he's able to control or respond positively to how he feels. All right. So between the listener feeling uncomfortable and how they behave, something can be done here. And what is it? So we as people who start out, we have a responsibility, first and foremost, to self-disclose. And I think Daniel was spot on when he said that we need to tell people that if you are going to meet someone more than once, or if you feel like whatever information that you are about to pass to someone else, if the person would not understand you clearly because of your stutter, and you don't want to be evaluated negatively, it's important for you to self-disclose. There, tell the person, I'm a person who stutters. You can add more. Because of that, maybe I would be repeating my sounds, or I'll be dragging my sounds, or I'll be having blocks where it feels like I'm gasping for air. Then you can ask for maybe, so I'll use more time. So if you don't understand whatever I say, feel free to ask me questions. So these are things you can do. Now, also, anyone here who doesn't stutter, but then is here as a friend or like a loved one to someone who stutters, we need to be able to maintain eye contact. And when I say maintain eye contact, you don't stare. Now, there's a way to maintain eye contact without staring. You look at the person right in the middle of the eyes. Just look at the person in the middle. Don't look at the person's eye. Don't look at the person's lips, because you know how that if someone is speaking and you're looking at their face and your eyes are focused on their lips, if the person is a lady and you're a guy, it could send the wrong message. If you're looking at their eyeballs, you are staring at them, they can tell you are staring. But if you look at the middle, in between their eyes, they don't feel like you are staring inappropriately. And once a while, you can move your gaze, right? Don't just keep it there. Once a while, just move your gaze to allow that friendly eye contact. There's a friendly or warm eye contact. Now, listeners should be taught to be able to maintain an open and relaxed posture. Now, there are some postures like crossing your hand when someone is talking to you. In some cultures, it comes off as rude, right? So for this, I would say we need to be culturally responsive. So as Africans or as Nigerians or like wherever you are from, just ask yourself within my culture, what is considered a relaxed and respectful body posture? So if you meet someone who is stuttering, that's something you can ask. A person who stutters, you can teach others, especially those who want to learn, that when I'm speaking, I would like you to maintain an easy going posture. Don't give me the vibe that you're in a hurry. Don't give me that vibe that I'm taking too much time. Because once that happens, as I showed in the previous slide, it goes round and round and round, and both the person speaking and the listener will keep feeling uncomfortable. We all know like what's happening. Also, we need to teach people to maintain gentle, small head nods. That shows you are listening. When someone is speaking to you and you keep nodding and you are, once in a while you say something, it keeps the conversation flowing. And that is a way to also keep people comfortable when they are speaking, especially people who stutter like us. I find that for some people, listeners, I mean, when they are hearing us talk, no matter what you do, they are not able to control that emotional response that they also feel when they are watching us. So some, as you are talking to them, they may want to distract themselves. So they'll be pressing their phones or they'll pretend they are writing something, right? As you're having blocks, they may but they don't feel comfortable looking at you in the eyes when you're struggling to say your words. But as we said, these also doesn't help the stutterer or the person who stutters. So we need to be able to also understand people who behave that way, right? People who look away, try pretend as though, but sometimes that no, this person is pretending to be writing something. This person is pretending to be picking out books. If it's possible, you can just let them know, that well, you understand it's uncomfortable, so that they also feel being listened to, right? Because it's like, okay, as I'm struggling, I can see you are also struggling. You don't know how to respond. But then I also feel the way you feel. Like I understand how you feel. That kind of, we need to be open about that kind of situation and have that conversation if possible. And as a listener, you need to be yourself. Don't try to overdo, because sometimes people will try to be nice to you as a person who started, and then you realize that they are overdoing it. They are being too nice, and you also feel like you don't like this, that kind of thing. So we need to teach people also. And if you are here and you don't stutter, you need to also just be yourself. Be kind, be nice, be yourself around us when we are stuttering. Now, this is my last slide, and it's just some takeaways. So one, as I said, communication or effective communication, which involves listening, is a shared responsibility. It's between we, people who stutter, and then people who don't stutter. Listener reactions are real and they are automatic. All right. So let's also feel for the listeners. And we need to also understand the signs. Okay. We need to also know that compassion is very important, and also better listening on the part of the public leads to inclusion, both at home, school, and work. And fluency is not the measure of communication. Understanding of the message is. All right. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is my last slide. Fluency is not the measure. Understanding is. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you so
Any
much
question? Yeah.
for that presentation. It was really wonderful. I gained a lot, and thank you for joining and taking time from your busy schedule and also educating us about structuring. When you were speaking, you made a lot of statement about us knowing about it about structuring already, but I didn't know a lot of things you said. Like when you spoke about the difference in the difference between people who stutter and those that don't stutter, how their brain differ. So that was very insightful, and also sharing the fact that communication goes beyond our voice. So thank you so much. So we'll take questions for you. So please, anyone who has a question to ask, can you please signify?
Hello.
The issue is okay. Yeah, good. Hi, Freedom. So
Hello.
Emmanuel, you are the one taking the question, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Freedom. Yeah.
Can you hear
Freedom.
me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I don't have any question to ask. I just want to say thank you because I haven't seen stuttering from the perspective of how listener feels before. Like I haven't seen it that way before, and it's more like a new discovery, a new knowledge about how listener also feels, how they react, how their brain also feels with that. And I really want to say thank you because you are kind of like giving a huge message to people who don't stutter, so they know the right way. So as you are telling people who stutter the best way for them to communicate themselves and all, we're also giving same message to um people who don't stutter too, which is very great. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Freedom. Freedom, do you stutter yourself or do you
No, no,
stammer?
no.
Okay.
I started when I was young, but I've outgrown it
Okay.
now, so I don't stutter.
Okay.
I just do have maybe speech blocks once in a blue
Mm-hmm.
moon, but
Mm-hmm.
but when I was
Mm-hmm.
young, I stuttered very well, but not anymore.
Okay. Okay. So I just have a question for you. When you meet someone who stammers or stutters, how do you feel? Like, does it evoke any response like in you? How do you feel yourself? I just want
Okay,
to
that
know. I'm curious. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually a great question, but to actually be candid, I don't feel any kind of emotion. Maybe because I was a
Mm-hmm.
stutter before, so I'm just always free with them. I'm always there, I'm always patient, listen. Like I don't feel any kind of awkward because I've been in that shoe before, so I know
Mm.
how they are actually feeling. So I don't have maybe any kind of uncomfortability around them. I know I'm just always chill, cool and not with them. So that's for me. But I think it was because I've been in that shoe before and I understand what they're actually going through at that
Mm-hmm.
present time. So that's it, sir.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
Does anyone else have a question?
Yes, Mr. Ado, I have a question, and I also have a contribution to make.
Okay.
Um, Thank you very much for this your presentation. I really, really learned a lot, and it's my first time of hearing this kind of presentation regarding stuttering. This is my first time, and I must say, I didn't know before that your communication skills can also aid you in speaking, like in your stuttering. I didn't know up till now, but thank God because of your presentation, I now know. So I want to ask um, uh, regarding communication skills. How can somebody further develop his or her communication skills? How can one further develop his or her communication skills?
Mhm.
Which other means or what means can you suggest?
Okay, okay. That's a good question. So, with communication, I think there are lots of resources out there which actually apply to us. Remember, with my slides, verbal communication or what we say actually is just 7%. So, the about 90 plus, whoever you are, whether you are a person who studies or not, that part. So, there's a lot of information out there on that. Specifically for us, I would say that one thing is one trying to maintain eye contact. So if you are a person who studies and you have ever gone for speech therapy, especially people who know what they are doing. I mean therapists who know what they are doing. The first thing they will help you to identify to increase your self-awareness about your own stuttering because most often we try to run away from it. We don't think about what's happening to us. So that's one first step. Now, if you're able to identify the things that you do, because there are things that you do which do not lead to effective communication, like not maintaining eye contact, looking away, when you are stuttering, trying to now play with something yourself as you are stuttering, making your voice weak, not maintaining good posture, looking downwards. These are things that we do involuntarily as we started. So if you're able to identify these things, the other thing is to reverse those things, right? So when you're talking to someone, you maintain, you make sure your body language is perfect, your posture, you are erect, your shoulders are straight, you are looking forward. If you are talking to people in an interview, maybe you've gone for an interview, you maintain eye contact at least within everyone in the room. And as people who start, I've seen a trend. If you are speaking to a group of people, we are likely to maintain eye contact more with the person who feels uncomfortable because we are scanning the eyes. And if we see someone is uncomfortable, that's where we naturally look at. But it will help for you to look at the person who is nodding. That person is responding positively to you. So, if you are able to maintain your gaze or try to look at that person who is giving you good vibes, it could help you to also flow and eases your anxiety. The other thing is your voice. You need to amplify your voice. See, the way you sound, I mean, your voice. Now, voice is different from speech. Voicing leads to speech, but then your voice, how you carry it about, shows confidence. So even if you are stuttering and your voice is out there, you maintain a steady voice, people usually look beyond the blocks and the repetitions, you know. So these are some of the things that you can do, and even handshake, when you are shaking someone's hand, whether you are a male or a female, you need to have firm handshake and look at the person's eyes. It's a pleasure to meet you, right? These are things that we are not uh, taught in schools and we are not taught in our homes. But then at the workplace, at where it's important, your stuttering wouldn't be an excuse. People are looking beyond your stuttering. So these are some of the things that you can do to improve um, your communication skills as a person studies.
Thank you, Mr. Ado, for what you said about having a weak voice. That I can acknowledge because most times, okay, beforehand, like some years ago, when I talk, I don't talk with energy. Like my voice is always low, and that was what made me I severe totally
Mm-hmm.
like the past few years. But it was last year that I started to like work on myself on my voice. When I started to like put more energy while talking. I noticed that I became more confident and I started less.
Mm.
So I acknowledge what you just said now about the voice. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Great to know that, Prince. Do you have any more questions?
I think we have a question, some questions in the chat
Mm.
from Isabel. I don't know if you can access it from your end.
Yeah, I can see. So Isabel says, do you think it's effective to communicate to listeners how their reaction affects us? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the problem or the challenge I've seen in Africa, among Africans is when someone is hurting you or doing something that you don't like and then you try to talk about it, then it looks like you are arrogant, right? Who are you to tell me how to react? And I think it's born out of the fact that as Africans, most of us are not, we are not emotional. We don't respond to things with emotions, right? It's like this is how it needs to be. So we don't relate to people's emotions. But I think things are changing. So if I am speaking and maybe a listener isn't responding positively to me, and I feel it's disturbing my state of mind or my emotions, I should feel free to tell the person, but we need to say it in a very nice way, right? Depending on who the person is. If the person is your boss, there's a way to go about it. If the person is your mate, there's a way to go about it. If the person is your subordinate, there's a way to go about it. But we need to feel free to let people know how their reactions are affecting us, especially if you are going to be seeing the person more than once. All right. But unfortunately, some people will be like, you know what? I wouldn't say anything. But inside, you feel bad and you feel tired each time you are talking around this person. So I would say definitely let the people know or let the person know how their reaction makes you feel. And remember what I said earlier on, some of these reactions are automatic. They are also helpless, right? So don't also make it look like it's something they can do easily, unless they've given you that vibe or something that it's something that they can control, but they just don't want to do it. Then they are intentionally doing it. But as we mentioned, most of these reactions are unintentional. So you have to draw the attention to it and then they can work on that. And you said, or it's just a scientific, it can be changed. Yes. So when I showed you that this cycle, right, between what the listener in his perceptions, in his emotional perceptions and the way he behaves, some change can be made there. So the listener can change some. So between I, the speaker, and the listener can modify the way he responds. So it can be changed. And that's why our topic today is teaching the listener. But as we are teaching the listener, we must also learn and to improve our communication skills. So everybody has to do something. Any more question for me? Or contribution or anything?
Okay, I
I,
I
I,
I have
I have a
something
question.
to say.
Okay.
Okay, I think when you were making your point, you said that when we stutter, our listeners are helpless. and when they are helpless, they tend to pay attention to our stutter. I just wanted to confirm if this is backed by science, because I've always had the thought that our listeners don't pay much attention to our stutter and they are more concerned with what we are saying. So I just want to know if that statement is backed by science or
Y- Yes. Yes, I'm trying to retrieve the link for you. Where is this thing? I'm trying to get a link for you. Oops, oops, oops. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Let me see. Yes. So to answer your question, yes, it's backed by science. There is a study. Where is this thing? Oh boy, can I find this thing now? No, this is what I'm going to do. I would look for the links, okay, or the articles. I can even download them, and then I would WhatsApp it to Victoria. Is it Victoria? Yes, and then she can actually share it on your page. Yes, so yes, it's backed by science. So there's a research that they conducted on people who don't stutter, listening to people who stutter. And it was measured with instruments, their skin conductance and their heart rates were measured with instruments, and the way they felt, like the way they feel was measured by validated scale. So in research, when we say validated scale, these are like survey questions that have been used over and over again for research and refined. So whatever result you get there, it's something that you can trust. Yes.
all right, that's that's awesome knowing how how my listeners feel at the
Mhm.
point when I'm stuck.
Yeah. They also don't feel good at all.
Yeah,
You can imagine, I don't know if, I don't know which example, because, you know, stuttering is quite unique. I don't know. Have you met, okay, yes. Have you met someone using a wheelchair? Okay.
yes,
Using a wheelchair and the person is on a busy road. The person is just, pushing him or herself, and you are standing watching the person. It gets to a point you feel like, okay, I want to help this person, but you are
yeah,
wondering, does the person need my help? What do I do?
exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yes,
Yeah, so they also go through these same feelings.
so it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, like he's blocking. Oh, his eyes are doing this. Oh, his lips. Should I laugh? Should I smile? Should I frown? How do I respond? Like a lot is going through their mind, and all this is just making them fixed on what you are doing. Some like maybe don't hear what they are fixed on your lips twitching, your eye.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot they are processing, right? So they go through a lot, you know. And I think if we as a stuttering community, if we understand this, we will not be too harsh on our listeners,
yeah,
because we can support them, we can educate them, because we expect them to be able to help themselves, because we cannot help our stuttering, but they can help the way they respond to us, right? But we need to do that in love, you know, show that we also care about how they feel.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the core of the message is to teach them, because most of the time they are not doing it, they are not doing it like vo- voluntarily or intentionally. They are just doing it because they don't know any any better way. So I think the ball is on our court to like tell them, okay, you don't have to pay attention to my stutter. This is just how I sound. So at the end of the day, they pay less attention to our stutter, because I think when people pay attention to our stutter, it makes it worse. For instance, if we notice someone is paying so much attention to how we are speaking or how we are sounding, we tend to stutter more. So I think if we can communicate with them, okay, you don't have to pay so much attention to how I sound, just have to listen to what I'm trying to say. It will help a lot.
Exactly. You're spot on. You're spot on. Yeah. And that's not to say that some people are not intentionally wicked. There are some people who are just intentionally wicked. Okay. They just want to hurt your feelings. Some people are just rude, right? And if you meet those ones, you get to know, you will know that, this one is just rude, See, let me give you a classical example. I know someone else wants to ask a question. Yesterday, I was at a conference, Starter Fest. And as I mentioned earlier on, I thought I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen all the type of stuttering, all like I think I've seen it all until this gentleman started talking. For the first 1 minute, I wanted to make him know I'm around. So my video was on. But I didn't know whether to smile, whether to laugh, whether to frown. Like I could feel a lot going on in my face because his way of stuttering or the secondary behavior, his pattern of stuttering was like it was unexpected. So you can imagine this guy goes to an interview and he meets someone who has never seen a person stutter before. How is that person going to react? Right? Because even me, I felt like I couldn't control my emotions, at a point until after 1 minute, then my brain was able to adjust, But at the initial moment, I felt helpless listening to him or watching him. So these are real things that are there. And I think if we are able to really pay attention to ourselves, the way we feel when we are around other people who stutter, you'll be able to realize that, sometimes we need to put in more effort as listeners to make life comfortable for people who stutter.
Yes. So you said someone else had a question to ask, right?
Yeah, I think I saw one audio go off. I mean, the mic was on unmuted. Is it Isabel or Prince? I think I saw someone's microphone come on. Not sure.
Okay, if we don't have any other question, then I think we can just call it a day. So thank you so much, Emmanuel. And I think I'll go through your scholar profile to see some of your work because I find it very interesting. So thank you for your work on stuttering and all you do. And thank you for joining us today. So I hope you'll be able to join some of our other meetings.
Yeah, I'll try. So I was telling um Victoria. Why do I keep getting her name wrong? Is it Victoria?
Yes,
Yes.
Victoria.
Yes. So I was telling Victoria that on Sundays around this time, it's time for my wife and my kid because I'm away from them. So this, because of the time difference, this is the time that we hang out. On Sundays during the week, I'm busy. On Saturday, I have my clients that I see. So we'd see once I keep seeing the post on LinkedIn, I would make time whenever I have any free day. I'll make time to join you guys. You have an interesting group, and I'm very happy to be here. I love to share. I love to talk about stuttering. I love to meet other people who stutter. I love to hear the perspectives of other people, learn from other people, see how best we can support and work together. That's something I do, and that's my life. So I would love to keep in touch with all of you. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on X, I'm on Facebook. You can just look for me. You have any question you want to ask, feel free to ask, and we'll see how to go from there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you next time. Like as I
All
said,
right.
so bye.
All right. Have a great one, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Today, October 22nd, I bow before the spirit of Startrust, those whose swords dance before the land, whose tongues wrestle with time, whose silence sometimes screams louder than voice. You speak, you long, yet still feel unheard, but hear me none, your voice matters. Every pulse is a heartbeat, every block is a breath of bravery. Today, I find the challenge worthy, the past, the block, the delay. They are not weakness, they are wisdom, they are truth finding its way through courage. Today, I raise to aware not to see, to lament not to gist, to strengthen not to weaken. For you are not defined by your stutter, but refined by your strength. Your voice, though halting, carries thunder. Each word you fight for is a victory, each silent a space for power to breathe. So let the world learn to listen, not just to sound but to silence, to the strength it takes to begin again, again, and again. For every hesitation hides a story, and every repetition echoes resilience. Your voice is not broken, it's blooming. It trembles yet it triumphs. Today, we stand together not as voices competing for sound, but as souls declaring our words. And when the words do come, slow, steady, scared, they will remain the words
Hello. Oh, I can't find Daniel in the meeting anymore.
It's network. Network is bad.
Okay.
Hello, Victoria. Hello. Are we going to?
Oh, I think we can end the meeting. Prince, over to you. I just sent Daniel a message on WhatsApp anyway. But over
All
to
right.
you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being part of today. This thing was really, really helpful to me, and I believe that it was also helpful to each and every one of us. And I want to appreciate everyone for being part of the meeting today. And we look up to the meeting for next month. Thank you so much, and have a good night rest. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.